Hello, everyone. Welcome to Not a Lawyer podcast. Happy Monday. The week ends and the week begins here. Today, I want to discuss the Nolan Wells case. Specifically, I want to go over this commentary that I watched from a former Mississippi judge. It's very interesting, the points he brings up about the Nolan Wells case. So, as this investigation, it's currently an open investigation. The status is it's pending the autopsy results. Two, actually. The family also requested for an independent autopsy as well. So, as this investigation unfolds, into the death of Nolan Wells, who was I wouldn't say unalived, I'm sorry, who was found dead during the 4th of July weekend. There's still questions surrounding the timeline. There's also questions surrounding the evidence and whether law enforcement acted quickly enough to preserve any critical information related to this case. So, what we're going to hear from today is from a former Mississippi judge. Carlos Moore is his name. It appears he is currently a civil rights attorney. He said that he spent about 6 years on the bench for Mississippi. And so he weighs in on this case. And I think it's interesting for us to listen to his claims and from a legal standpoint, right? This is not a lawyer podcast. However, we do want to hear what actual experts have to say about this case. And was enough investigation or were the proper steps taken to uncover the truth about Nolan Wells? So let's get started today. I'm going to share my screen and we are going to watch this and listen to Mr. Moore here. Let me play this and get started.
From Ivers Club Fight Plus News, I'm John Alva. Following the latest surrounding the mysterious death of Nolan Wells, a black teen in Mississippi whose body would be found washed ashore after his friends allegedly would leave him on a remote island.
This is via Hype Plus TV. So that's my source here. Let's show the transcripts, right, so we can follow along. So let's show the transcripts here. There we go. And also, let's take off the transcripts from here and we can follow along. Again, this is from Hype Plus TV. This is Carlos Moore, a former judge in Mississippi. We're going to listen to his commentary about the Nolan Wells case, okay? So let's get started.
And a former Mississippi judge is now speaking up and highlighting some key issues he sees with the case. According to former judge, now attorney Carlos Moore, who served in a municipal court in Mississippi for a little over 6 years, someone should have been arrested by now for several different reasons. Moore, who would end up being pushed from the bench after previously speaking out against racial discrimination on social media while serving as a judge, would take to his Facebook page on Friday night for over 30 minutes to air out questionable behavior he sees with how...
Okay, so this originally aired on Facebook, on his Facebook page, okay? So technically, I'm just taking this from Hype Plus. I wasn't on his Facebook page, okay? So that was it. I was questioning that, so thank you. That's interesting. Alrighty, let's continue.
Local officials are handling the case from the inside.
It's time out for playing games. It's time to know the truth from someone well-versed in it that has actual experience. I've worn the robe, the black robe, and I've presided over these trials or preliminary hearings arraignments, and initial appearances. Let's get started. So what do we know? We know after watching the parents' interview and reviewing tons of footage from social media, recounting interviews and statements of alleged witnesses that were on Horn Island, we know that Nolan Wells went to spend the night on July the 3rd with his so-called friends.
Okay. This came out, this information, sorry that I'm going to pause it every so often, but I want to make sure that we get to the facts, okay? So it was initially discovered, not discovered, it was revealed during that Good Morning America, Good Morning America interview, or presser rather, that Nolan, in fact, he stayed at his friend's house on July 3rd. That was the very last time that mom and dad saw Nolan, July the 3rd. Okay. So I know you guys, moms out there, you know, when you have kids staying over your house for a certain period of time, you feel a sense of responsibility. I mean, these are teenagers. These are teenagers. They're not of the age to drink, okay? So, as a parent, there's some responsibility that is put on you if you have your son's friend staying over your house, right? That's how it is. It's an unspoken rule there that you have that responsibility, right? Now, this is interesting. I'm going to write this down. So, July 3rd, we know that Nolan stayed the night at a friend's house. Okay. Let's continue.
And he went with those so-called friends to Horn Island on a boat on July the 4th.
Okay, so this is another fact that was revealed. They went to the islands on the 4th, the following day. Okay, so they went together. Okay, so think about it. You have a son, you have his group of friends staying the night on the 3rd. The plan is to go to the Horn Islands for 4th of July, for 4th of July celebrations, right? Okay, keep that in mind while we discuss this. The news has not covered this case at all. That's mainstream legacy news, mainstream media for you. I mean, when it comes to mainstream media, the reporters or journalists are limited to what they can discuss. Honestly, that's the truth, you know. There could be reporters that want to talk about it and can't, right? So that's why it's great that independent journalists are covering this case. Hi, Blue Devil. How are you? Welcome, everyone. Okay, so let's continue.
We know that out of the 4 people on that boat, 1 did not return home. That 1 person was Nolan Wells. The other 3 returned home as normal and said nothing to any member of law enforcement or to the Coast Guard until at least 11 p.m. at night on July the 4th. We know that at least 1.
That is a fact. So we also learned and discovered that one of Nolan's friends at 11 p.m. He contacted the I'm not sure what to call this, guys. I don't know if he's a park ranger or coastal ranger. They were contacted on the islands at 11 p.m. Okay, so that's another fact that was revealed. Okay.
One of the so-called friends was found with the phone of Nolan Wells. And we know this based on the testimony of the parents, specifically the mother, who tracked the phone and was led to the home of one of the young men where she retrieved the phone. We also know that based on the mother's testimony that Snapchat, there were no Snapchats from the day, which was very odd for her son. We also know that text messages were deleted. We know that when she was tracking the phone, Life 360 said the phone was one place and Snapchat said it was another place. We know that the boy that had the phone did not voluntarily turn it over or call first. He had to be found through their own investigation. We know that based on witnesses' account, the so-called friends were seen on July the 5th, that Sunday.
Everyone using this kid's death for clicks is crazy. Where's the proof? Now, one of my community guidelines here on the chat is be civil, respectful. And if you don't follow those rules, you will be blocked. So you're going to be blocked. You're not just going to walk up in here and yeah, it's unacceptable. Sorry, band. Thank you. Sorry for the interruptions, guys. Let's continue. Again, you can have your own opinion. Please be respectful, be kind, challenge the argument, not the person. Okay, thank you.
Sunday, having breakfast together like nothing had happened. They were not out there searching for their so-called friend. We know that the so-called friends deleted their social media, deactivated their accounts, and scrubbed it clean if the allegations are correct. We know that
these are all facts that he's presenting right now. These are all facts, by the way. There's evidence, there's receipts of this. They wiped their social media. One of the kids' stepmoms actually made a public statement to that effect, that she made the kids wipe their social media. Do you guys understand this? Please don't come in the chat with shit, because you will be banned.
the young men or the young man that had the car at his house did not willingly turn over the keys. At first, he said that he did not have the keys.
No, it was that this person was being disrespectful. He wasn't asking questions. I'm sorry. You can leave if you want. This is a free country. I'm sorry, but yeah, you're not going to come in here disrespecting. Thank you.
He didn't know where they were. Then he, after being pressed by the father, he finally turned over the keys. This is all very suspicious activity. We know that based on an audio recording and some video that Nolan Wells can be heard saying, "Give me my freaking keys." Excuse me, "Give me my freaking phone." And there's been two different versions. Some said he said, "Give me my freaking phone," or some say he said, "Give me my ML phone." Regardless, he was asking.
I'm sorry. To me, if you're going to tell me that I'm playing this shit for clicks, that's fucking disrespectful to me. All right? Watch your fucking mouth. Watch your fucking mouth. Thanks, Blue. I appreciate you. Yeah, let's watch the chat here because these touchy subjects, like people think that this is not rage bait. This is no fucking, what the fuck? Fuck out of here.
Demanding his phone. Someone had his phone who did not have permission to have his phone. So the first thing I see, the simplest thing I see is who had his phone and why. And was that theft of the phone? Sometimes we look at
So this is a very good point that he's bringing up, right? Because we could barely hear the presser where Dad talks about how he approached the friends. I'm sorry, okay, so there's two things we're talking about here. There's two missing items that were in possession of other people. Nolan's phone. Nolan's phone was found via the Life 360 app by the mom. She sent her friend to pick up the phone. They didn't immediately want to turn over the phone. That's number one. The second part of this was Nolan's keys. His car was parked at his friend's house because he stayed the night on the 3rd. There was a lot of pushback for him to get those keys. Okay, so this is all in the presser. I can play that at the end of this. I want to focus on these arguments that Carlos Moore is presenting here. The phone, I believe, it's huge. It's a very strong and solid point that he is bringing up here, because according to the statements from Nolan's family, as I said, his mother was able to track the phone and eventually locate the phone. She herself located the phone at the home of his friend's house, who had been with Nolan. All right. So who had his phone and why is the question, right? Why wasn't, when initially it was reported that the friend handed the phone over to Nolan's mom, and that's not true. That is not the correct story, you guys. So what Carlos Moore is arguing here, he argues that before the investigators even get to the question of what happened to Nolan, there should be a separate issue, a separate investigation being examined here. Why was Nolan's phone taken without his permission, right? Let's continue.
The largest case, we try to get to murder, but the person that took his phone committed the crime right there. There are witnesses to who took that phone. If an affidavit is signed, an arrest warrant could be signed by a judge in Mississippi to go after that person that had that phone unlawfully. We know, based on his own words, Nolan Wells' words while he was alive, he did not give whoever had that phone permission to have that phone. So was that theft? I think if an affidavit is signed, if it was presented to me when I was a judge, I would have signed an arrest warrant for the person for theft of that phone, based on what I've heard. It'd have to be an affidavit format, but if it was presented to me in affidavit format from law enforcement, I would sign the arrest warrant for, at least at this point, theft of the man's phone.
Now, let's remember that there has not been any arrest. We are not accusing anyone. These are simple steps. In his opinion, as a judge, a former judge of Mississippi, of this state, these are steps that he feels should have been taken as a law, as from a legal standpoint. Okay. So obviously, there has not been any arrest. Why? Because in order for an arrest to be made, an affidavit would need to be done and with evidence and handed over to the judge to sign. Okay? It's a probable cause affidavit. Let's continue.
We know who had it. We know who didn't report it to the family. The family had to go find it. And we know that Nolan Wells said, give it back to him. And evidently, it was not given back to him. Why was that?
Now, that is true.
Honey, relate.
That is true because we hear on footage, we hear on a video footage that Nolan is asking for his phone back. Okay. So let's continue.
All of the other things I've stated, you piece it together. Is there enough right now for arrest warrants for murder? That is a good question. I do know at this point there should have been search warrants signed by a judge. Evidence should have been presented to a judge by now. We are nearly 7 days after July the 4th, when he was first reported missing. There should have been evidence submitted by Jackson County law enforcement agents, the sheriff's department specifically, presented to a judge so that search warrants could be signed by the judge. And there needs to be, or should have been, someone questioning the young men, the three so-called friends.
I agree with that. I mean, it's like Idaho 4 all over again. I keep saying the same thing. When you see a literal shitty investigation before your eyes, there could have been, they should have been interrogated, immediately interrogated and questioned. And they were not.
And others, and the social media accounts need to be searched by now, or at least a search warrant should have been issued for the appropriate entities to give the law enforcement.
Now, for a search warrant, you do need probable cause. So for a search warrant, you do need probable cause. So let's just continue and hear what he has to say about that.
Access to the social media information. That should have been done by now.
So listen to this. So one of his strongest criticisms here, Mr. Moore is saying that search warrants should have been done. He argues that investigators should have moved quickly to secure cell phones, social media records, computer data, and digital communications. From a legal perspective, this is a huge issue. It is a significant issue because evidence can disappear, accounts can be changed, and memories can fade, right? However, search warrants require more than suspicion, as I was saying. You need probable cause for a search warrant, and law enforcement must present facts showing that evidence of a crime is likely connected to a specific location, device, or the account.
I'm not telling you what I imagine. I'm telling you what the process usually is when you're trying to do a thorough investigation. And based on what's revealed from a thorough investigation, I do believe once the evidence is secured, is going to lead, and it should lead, to the arrest of one or more individuals.
See, that's a huge statement what he says here. This is crazy because, he's a civil rights attorney now. I wonder if there's some information that he knows that he has heard of from these Ben Crump and other guys in the circle, because he literally says that once the evidence is secured, it is going to lead, and it should lead, to the arrest of one or more individuals for the murder of Nolan Wells. That's huge. That's a huge statement. I don't know what all he knows, but let's listen.
For the murder.
Okay, before I continue, Blue, yes, Mom had Life 360. And all right, so let me write this down. I am going to play after this, I'm going to play the presser or the Good Morning America interview where Mom describes her locating Nolan's phone on the Life 360 app. She had the Life 360 app, and then she was on the phone with her she was on the phone with one of the parents, one of Nolan's friends' parents, who was okay. So Nolan's friends were trying to locate they were trying to locate his location on Snapchat. If you guys have Snapchat, you know that Snapchat has a map and you can share your location within the app. So Nolan's friend they were trying to locate Nolan using the Snapchat feature at the same time that Mom was trying to locate him using the Life 360 app. And guess what? The locations didn't match, you guys. Is that wild or what? That's a little wild. I don't know. Lucy Goosey. The party's here. The party's getting started. Oh boy. Let's continue.
Arrest of one or more individuals. For the murder of Nolan Wells. All of the actions are very suspicious, and right now they lead one to believe that one or more persons could have been involved with the death of Nolan Wells. Right now we have a lot of unsworn testimony. But once that is put into affidavit format and there is corroborating evidence, social media, computers, or otherwise, I believe that at that point there will be enough evidence for a judge to sign an arrest warrant. I think critical evidence that's missing right now are the results of the autopsy. The state's autopsy and the independent autopsy, that's going to be critical information. And that alone, or that in...
Yes, of course. I believe that the autopsy, it's what's holding this investigation at the moment. That's why, but no matter what, no matter if an autopsy is being conducted, the investigation shouldn't stop there. Law enforcement should continue in doing their own investigation, right?
Connection with what's already known may be enough to lead to an arrest or arrest. We do know at this point, low-hanging fruit. There should be an investigation about the underage drinking, who provided the alcohol.
And to add on to that, who was driving the boat? You're telling me one of those kids has a boat license and they were all drinking? That's a crime. That's a crime. You're drunk and you're driving a boat. One, are you licensed to drive this boat? Like, this is huge. This is huge. Yes, they were at least 18. They were 18, 19 years old, right? That's not drinking age.
Those individuals could be immediately arrested based on if there was any sworn testimony presented to a judge. I believe a judge could immediately sign an arrest warrant for those who provided alcohol to underage individuals. There's a lot of people and a lot of potential crimes, some misdemeanors and felonies that people could be held accountable for. Was there any boating while intoxicated?
Thank you.
Who was the captain of the boat?
Yep.
And what did he allow on his boat? If there were any illegal drugs possessed by anyone.
Yep.
Drugs are still illegal in Mississippi, at least they were when I was on the bench. Drug possession, drug use, selling of drugs, dealing drugs, trafficking drugs. We've heard testimony, or allegations at least. I don't think anything's been put in affidavit format yet about.
Me too. Me too, Amy. I'm holding judgment. We're holding judgment until the autopsy results come back. Okay? We're not blaming these kids. We're not blaming anything. However, it's very interesting what he's saying, because at this point, there could have been other charges, as he is explaining here. Pedro, hi, welcome. My understanding is that the Boat Party Islands was out of range of cellular service. They left his phone on the islands when they left without him. No, his phone was on land. Tracked his phone to one of the friend's house. So let's continue. Yeah, they had his phone. I'll play that interview. Pedro, I'm going to play that so you guys can hear that. The whole Life 360, tracking the phone. Oh, it's so heartbreaking. Because, it's your son and you're tracking him and you see his phone is at his friend's house and possibly there could be hope. You're like, oh, wow, he's fine. He's at his friend's house. But he wasn't.
Out rampant drug use among certain individuals. So there are a lot of things that's been alleged. Once put into the correct format, affidavit-wise, it could lead to arrest for several things, including misdemeanors and maybe even felonies. So there's a lot left to do. We are not rushing to judgment, but I just thought I would come on here and tell you that there definitely should be search warrants issued by now, and there could be arrest warrants for certain crimes issued by now.
So that's where I'm troubled. Why aren't they? Why haven't there been any arrest warrants or search warrants? This is coming from a judge.
But for the ultimate crime of murder, it is probably wise to wait to see what the autopsy reveals, or both autopsies reveal, and then parse that together with all the video footage, all the witness statements taken, any affidavits gathered, and then make a decision, get it all to a judge at that point, for a judge to decide whether or not to sign a warrant for the arrest of one or more individuals. It will be very interesting to see what the autopsy shows. There's also the potential for kidnapping. It needs to be looked at whether or not they can get to murder. Was there kidnapping? was this young man taken somewhere against his will at any point? Was there abuse of a corpse even after he died? So there's a lot of things that need to be looked at from various law enforcement perspectives. Law enforcement has to do their job and get the information to a judge in the right format before a judge can act.
Right, right.
Had I still been on the bench, if I wanted to act, I could not act unilaterally. I would have to wait till law enforcement brought me the evidence in the right format.
Yes, you hear what he said? Had I been on the bench, if I wanted to act, I could not. You could not. They have to wait until law enforcement brings about the evidence before with an affidavit for the judge to sign.
Before I could sign an arrest warrant, before I could sign a search warrant. And so that's how the process works. That's how the process works. And so I am happy to be a retired judge. I'm always going to shoot it to you straight with no chaser. Straight with no chaser. I will tell you the God honest truth. I can tell you this one thing. I may have been born at night, but I was not born last night. And one thing about it, you cannot fool the informed. I've been on the inside. I know the process, and we will not sit quietly and allow this to be swept under the rug. I will call your hand. I will call your hand. You are not going to play these people for a fool. You are not going to play these people for a fool. We know the process, and we know what you should be doing. And by God, I plan to make sure you do it, or we're going to call you out each and every time. There is a process. What I do know is, had the roles been reversed, by now, there would likely have been.
I'm really sick and tired of hearing that. I am tired of saying it. I am tired of hearing it. It's like a fucking broken record. You know? Why do we have to keep saying, oh, if the roles were reversed, or if the roles were reversed, da 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 da? Why is that? It's fucking bullshit. But it's like it almost has to be said.
Already arrest made. It wouldn't have taken all 6 days, 7 days, whatever the amount of days it's going to take. Had the roles been reversed, the wheels of justice spin quickly. Somebody would have been arrested for something by now. But since the roles are what they are, we are expected to be patient, and they're going to cross.
It's true. It's like you can't even deny the fact that had Nolan been white and the other kids black or Spanish even or Hispanic or Asian, maybe Asian, I'm not sure. The point is they would have been locked up and interrogated immediately. I'm sorry, and that's just an honest truth.
Every T, and they're going to dot every I in the investigation before they make a move because of the people that are potentially involved. And that's the way the criminal justice system works, unfortunately. If you have access to power or money, in some instances, if you're the right color or the right hue.
And you guys, it's not only United States. It's not only United States. We think that it's only America. No, racism is everywhere. This whole black and white nonsense, it's everywhere. It's even in South America. You know, other countries. It's everywhere. It's not just America.
you will get the benefit of the doubt. And regardless of all of that, based on what I've heard, not in the affidavits I've seen, if the affidavits come to support what I've heard, I do believe.
See what I'm saying? He knows something. He heard something. I'm telling you, he might be like, he might rub shoulders with some guys in these circles. But he says, and regardless of all of that, based on what I've heard, not in affidavit I've seen. Wait, hold on.
Color or the right hue, you will get the benefit of the doubt. And regardless of all of that, based on what I've heard, not in affidavits I've seen, if the affidavits come to support what I've heard, I do believe, especially with the autopsy, once that is in, and then if we look at the body to see if there were any bruises or anything else, it should lead to the arrest of one or more individuals for murder, for accessory to murder, for conspiracy to commit murder, aggravated assault, kidnapping,
Damn.
and a list of other possible things.
I wonder what he heard. Hold on, I have to open the door for my dogs.
But right now, I could say that based on that video evidence of him demanding his phone back, someone could immediately be arrested for theft, wrongful conversion of his property.
Hey, Blake.
Yeah?
You feeling bad about your lawn?
A little bit.
Lawns are Gary's thing. Your thing is chilling with a Minute Maid Zero Sugar. Full flavor, zero.
Competition.
So, and once you make that first arrest, you start putting pressure on people. It becomes very serious at that point. No one wants their loved ones sitting behind bars, even jail bars, definitely not prison bars. So it becomes very serious at that point. And there are persons of interest that should have been interviewed by now. Should have been questioned, picked up, and taken to the station, even if they didn't voluntarily go. There are certain people that should be classified as suspects by now.
Wow.
It should not just be persons of interest. They should be actual suspects. I do not agree with the sheriff saying right now foul play is not suspected. He should have said, right now, it is too early to tell one way or the other if he was going to say anything and try to be
Partial.
fair and impartial.
Right.
Because all of this suspicious stuff, the suspicion and the actions of the individuals themselves lead you to believe that something is awry. And
Right. The actions, the behavior immediately after is very suspicious. Okay. I agree with that.
stories are not adding up. The stories are not adding up. So if you believed that he stayed with a young lady, why were you calling the Coast Guard at 11 p.m. at night?
There you go. The Coast Guard. See, that's why it's conflicting, because the friend said, oh, he stayed with that girl Katie or whatever her name is. Oh, yeah, Nolan just stayed behind with Katie. So if Nolan stayed behind with Katie, why then are you calling the Coast Guard at 11 p.m.? And then if Nolan stayed back with Katie, why do you have his phone?
On July the 4th. And why did the Coast Guard somehow forget that and then remember it? And
yes, they totally messed up. They have to come out publicly and retract their statement. Could you imagine?
it's just very strange. And why would you lawyer up before there is even a body found? If my best friend died by drowning accidentally, The last thing I'm going to be doing is hiring a lawyer. I'm going to be too busy grieving my friend's accidental death. And I would not, in my wildest imagination, ever think that anyone would suspect me of a crime. Accidents happen all of the time. All of the time. And one thing about it, if I had been there when he drowned, I would probably been so exhausted from trying to save him that I wouldn't have time to think about hiring a lawyer, or time for my parents to think about hiring a lawyer. And if I am recalling things correctly, I do believe that one of those young people's parents went out to the island. Now, this is a bunch of young folks. I believe one of the mothers got on Facebook and said she went to the island at some point. Why was she there? What was she?
Well, if you watch the footage, there's adults there amongst the kids playing around. There is adults there as well, which would make sense because not every kid has a boating license. Like, what parent is just gonna, here, you can take my boat, sure, here's the boat keys or whatever, you know, go drink and party with your friends on my boat. What parent's going to allow that? Absolutely not. There were adults there.
She doing? She was not in their age group. I don't know too many parents that go to a teenage gathering, a young person's gathering. What was she doing?
Well, like I said, it's possible that some adults were there, you know, because you're not just going to trust your kid with your fucking boat, you know, while they're partying and drinking.
I'm curious to know. I'm not even on the bench anymore, but I'm very curious to know what she was out there doing and who she may have been coaching, or what she may have been an accessory to. It's very odd that she was out there, because I'm sure she was not on the guest list.
Not Pearl Jam's Ledbetter. Were you here on my last episode? That's funny. And seeing Tyndall, Commissioner of Public Safety, have been vocal in pushing the drowning narrative. That's the problem here. That's the problem, that these families are protected. So you're telling me that's all you need in this freaking world? In this country? You know, you could get away with murder. All you need is the protection. This is what you're telling me? This is the world we're living in right now. It's fucking disgusting.
When I tell you I'm tired, it's because I am. It's time for us to have the knowledge. I got my law degree in 2002. So you're looking at somebody that has nearly a quarter of a century of experience in the legal realm. I spent 6.5 years on the bench. I am not going to mislead you, because too many of us have gone along to get along for too long. I have to meet my makers face in peace. I have to look myself in the mirror. I'm not going to betray you. Enough is enough is enough. I know no one wants to see their loved one go to prison or be held accountable. But if the shoe fits, you might as well get ready to wear it.
Wear it, boy.
No one is above the law.
That's what I'm saying.
And if you can't do your job because you're friends with certain people, you need to.
Not only that, to take us a step further. So, okay, you're not going to take any action against this incident. Like, let's just say, oh, he drowned. It was an accidental drowning, right? Let's just say that. Okay, cool. Now, what happens? Years down the line, something like this occurs again. You have another life that was taken in the hands of this person that should have been behind bars all along. You get what I'm saying?
To recuse yourself. Recuse yourself and let somebody that can do their job correctly do it. I'm happy to answer any questions that anyone may have about the process or anything I just said. There is a criminal justice process. And I know how things should go. And when they don't go as they should, you have to ask yourself why. Again,
Amy, what? Amy, I didn't hear that. That the girl said that he left and saw him be at a party with a metal object crying for his mama. I have not heard that. Oh my God.
and I'm Judge Carlos Moore. I've been coming to you live from Atlanta, Georgia. I've been living here now nearly 3 years, but Mississippi is home. The Gulf Coast is home. I know several members of the Wells family and the Wansley family, and again, they have my...
Oh, he's connected. He's very well connected. You heard what he said? Okay, because again, there's some things that he's saying that I'm like, hold on, what do you mean you heard this? What did he hear? He's connected. He knows people. He knows the family, people in the family.
deepest condolences for their loss. It's tragic. Tragic. Folks that you trusted your loved one to spend time with. Left an island without having the decency to account for your son.
And took his phone.
That's
Phone
sad.
with him.
I can't imagine the level of pain. And I've heard some people say that the Department of Justice, Civil Rights Division should come in and investigate, or the FBI, MBI, who actually has jurisdiction.
Men in Black, MIB. Here comes Men in Black. Sorry. Every time I could joke, I try, because this is too heavy sometimes. He said Men in Black, MIB. Here comes Men in Black.
To do this. Those are good questions. We may need more assistance besides the local law enforcement to get down to the bottom of this. If there's anyone that's truly willing to live up to the oath they took, they swore as a law enforcement officer, as a judge, if you're willing to live up to that oath and be unbiased and do a true investigation.
Some truly don't give a shit about the oath they took. Some truly don't give a shit about Hitler, aka Hitler.
And consider the facts fairly. Please step up. And if you can't do the job fairly, please step aside. This is too serious.
Thank you.
You have too many educated people watching this case now.
Thank you.
And we're not going to let you get away with murder, potentially, with no one being held. And if you can't do the job fairly, please step aside. This is too serious.
Yep.
You have too many educated people watching this case now.
Right here, he's talking about us. Too many educated people watching this case. Fuck out of here with your bullshit.
And we're not going to let you get away with murder, potentially, with no one being held accountable. We're not going to do it. Whoever did something untoward needs to be held accountable, needs to go before a jury of their peers, and need to let that jury of their peers decide their guilt or innocence.
Due process.
The standards for an arrest warrant is simple, probable cause to believe a crime has been committed. The judge has to have probable cause.
Yes.
More likely than not that a crime has been committed for an arrest warrant to be signed.
Right.
It's not beyond a reasonable doubt. It's probable cause, more likely than not.
Yes.
That's a very low burden to meet. And the evidence needs to get to a judge pretty soon. We know that won't be the end all, just because there will be an arrest at some point. I do believe it's still going to be a long process. The local judge, the municipal judge, as I was, will have to do the arraignment and decide whether or not the individual or individuals get bail and what that bail amount will be. If it's a capital offense or if it's a first degree murder charge or manslaughter charge, or whatever it may be, kidnapping, aggravated assault, that the judge will have to set bail or decide or deny it. Will the persons be flight risk? All that has to be taken into consideration. From there, there will be a preliminary hearing likely where the evidence.
Oh, damn. He's breaking it down. He's like step 1, step 2, step 3. I appreciate that. So what is the difference between suspicion and proof, right? So one of the most important legal points that he is bringing up in this commentary is the difference between suspicion, probable cause, and proof beyond a reasonable doubt. So probable cause is the standard needed in order for the judge to sign that arrest warrant. Okay. It does not require the prosecutors to prove guilt. That's done if you end up after the preliminary hearing, if there is a trial, that's when the prosecution argues guilt and you stand before a jury and, whatnot. But an arrest still requires evidence, right? Showing that a specific crime likely took place here, and that a specific person is involved. So, in order for probable cause and an arrest to take place here, there has to be some evidence showing that 1, a crime took place, and 2, that a specific person committed that crime, okay, or was involved. But if you're going to trial, a conviction obviously requires more, and that's the beyond prove. You have to prove, the prosecution would have to prove this. It's the state's burden to prove that he committed this crime beyond a reasonable doubt. Okay, so let's continue.
Will be presented to that local judge, who will get to decide whether or not to bind it over to a grand jury or to dismiss the charge. Once it's bound over to a grand jury, it'll be up to the grand jury to decide what to actually indict the individuals for. And then once there is an indictment or indictments are secured, individuals will have to stand trial, or if they plead not guilty, they get to stand trial. Otherwise, if they plead guilty, it could go immediately to sentencing. You would expect, based on what I've seen so far, that there won't be any guilty pleas automatically, and this probably will go to trial. You have contradicting.
Yeah, he's saying that most likely they're going to obviously plead not guilty, and it will eventually have to go to trial. If this is the case, he's just simply stating a scenario.
Stories. You have Katie that's saying one thing. You have the young man that's saying another. I see Katie has not lawyered.
That's interesting. That is interesting. Katie, the young girl, one of the witnesses who claims that Nolan left with his friends. Again, here's the situation. The situation is that the friends are saying that Nolan stayed with Katie, and then Katie is saying, no, Nolan left with his friends. That's the conflict here, you guys. And the fact that he lawyered up, right? Some individuals obtained attorneys quickly. Legally, that's not evidence of guilt. Honestly, if this were to happen to my son or any member of my family or any relative of mine, I would do the same. Sorry, I would recommend the same. Um, Obviously, they have the right, that's your right. You have the right to remain silent. Okay. And anything that you will say will be held against you in a court of law. So yes, I would do that. I would practice, I would utilize that right that I have. Um, it doesn't necessarily mean they're guilty. I just want to make that very clear. Um, so let's continue.
Up, from what I have been told, and she's been speaking freely, and her family's been speaking freely. Whereas I understand that some others have decided not to speak to the press and have lawyered up. And people are entitled in this country. You are innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. There's nothing wrong with lawyering up. In fact, if it was my family, I would advise my family to remain quiet too.
There you go.
That's what lawyers do.
Yep.
We advise them to remain quiet. They have a right.
I'm not a lawyer, but I'd advise you to do the same.
To remain quiet. And a lot of times you remain quiet for good reason, because anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. But people also have a right to be suspicious.
Dang, it's almost like I'm an attorney up in this bitch.
Of why individuals lawyered up so fast. Why are they not talking? This is serious. It's serious business. People's potential freedom are on the line, and somebody has lost their life. Someone has lost their life. At least the people that's alive still have a fighting chance. You never know what a jury in Mississippi will do. We do know that no one ever was held accountable for Emmett Till's murder, despite the evidence, the overwhelming evidence.
And that's another part of it, you know, like, for example, Carmelo Anthony now not receiving, I don't know, the whole jury selection is still bothers me. Not one black juror. It's part of the process too, unfortunately, right?
No one was ever held accountable. I can only hope and pray that in 2026, 2027, should the facts be presented to a jury of peers, that it'll be given reasonable consideration, and that if the facts are proven beyond a reasonable doubt, that the individuals that may soon be arrested and tried for the death, for their role in the death of Nolan Wells, will be held accountable. That's all we can hope and pray for, and we will have to live with whatever the jury's verdict is, because in this country, if you go through the entire process, we live with the verdict of the jury. It has to be a unanimous verdict, and they get to decide guilt or an acquittal. And if they cannot agree, it's a hung jury.
Yep.
And the prosecution gets to
damn, he's breaking the whole shit down. I can't with him. Thank you very much for this.
decide if they try the case again. They can continue to try it again until they get a unanimous decision one way or the other. So it's going to be a long road ahead. Keep the Wells and Wansley's family in your prayers. They have to deal with all of this in a very public light. They are not allowed to grieve privately because of the very public nature of this death. And so it's a lot to process. One day your life is going as normal, and the next day you are thrown in the limelight. But I applaud the parents for standing together and fighting for answers. They have been very good. They are not accusing anybody of anything. They just simply want answers. And once those answers are given and properly investigated, they are hoping that
I think the parents did the right thing. The way they approached the media, I think they did excellent job. You know, they're not blaming anyone. They're not pointing fingers. They just want answers. And that's fair. That's fair, and they're deserving. Absolutely, they should have answers.
The right thing is done. And that's my hope too. whatever the evidence leads to. As long as there has been a thorough investigation, I'm willing to accept that. But I do not want anyone getting any favoritism. I want a complete, thorough investigation, and I'm glad another independent investigation is going along alongside the law enforcement investigation. Again, I had the privilege of serving the great people of Mississippi, because the people of Mississippi, for a large part, certain people I consider great in Mississippi. I used to call the state great. I no longer will refer to it as the great state of Mississippi because it still has a lot of growing to do. It's not a place that I feel comfortable living any longer and raising.
Wow. That's pretty sad, you know. I mean, you hear things like this, you know, you're just not safe. It's crazy.
My family. And I would encourage any of my friends to move to Mississippi in this current configuration. It's a dangerous place. It's a dangerous place with a deep-seated racism. And they are known to try to keep Black people in their place. So no matter what your socioeconomic status is as a Black person in Mississippi, they are known to try to keep you in your place. And one thing about me, I decided what my place was. No one else got to decide what that place was. And my place was equal with theirs. And in my eyes, I was always equal, never beneath. My parents raised me to believe you're no better than anyone and you're no worse than anyone. You're equal. I believe that, and I do believe that's how we all should be treated. Equal justice under the law. And all men are created equal, and we are endowed with unalienable rights. I believe that. And America will be forced to live up to his promise. It will be forced to live up to his promise. I could go on and on, but I have been here.
I don't know if America will be forced to. I don't know about this that he just said right here. It says that I believe that America will be forced to live up to this promise. I don't think so. I think humans as a species, I believe that we are very limited. Just the very fact that just the very fact that racism is still going on after how many years now? We're as a species, I think we're limited. Yeah.
Express from my viewpoint the perch that I had as one who wore the robe, and not one but two jurisdictions in Mississippi where I signed
what I'm trying to say is that we'll never overcome that. We're never going to overcome that. It is what it is. Unfortunately, sadly, that's how I see it. It would have to take a miracle, but
countless search warrants and arrest warrants. I know the process, and I'm happy to have enlightened you on tonight. Please share this with your friends. Let them hear it from the horse's mouth, because people will have you to believe that.
Okay, so people will have you believe that you're crazy. No,
that you're crazy based on your suspicions. A lot of you on tonight. Please share this with your friends.
Yeah.
Let them hear it from the horse's mouth, because people will have you to believe that you're crazy based on your suspicions.
Yeah.
A lot of your suspicions and what you're saying, you're dead on, you're dead right. You're hitting the nail on the head. Keep asking the questions, keep prodding. And if you ever want to know if you're on the right track, I'm just a chat or email away.
Okay, I'm gonna have to send him an email or a chat or something, because that was great. All right, so basically the central point of this commentary here by Carlos, a former lawyer, is that his argument is that every possible avenue should be investigated by law enforcement thoroughly, and the evidence should be preserved in order to secure a proper because there's still unanswered questions here. Like, what happened to Nolan Wells? The families are seeking answers. And I believe that his standpoint is more so that law enforcement needs to do the proper investigation, right? For example, he brought up points that why hasn't there been any search warrants done? Why hasn't there been any interrogations done? And that's a very those are solid points by this former judge. Now, what I want to do, we want to watch the, let's go to the presser because we want to listen to the family when they talk about the Life 360 app. I'm going to play that for you guys. Let me go to my playlist. Let's see how the sound is first, because I remember playing this and the sound was awfully bad. Let's see.
If you've got stucco in Florida, here's the problem. Once cracked, stand a chance in Florida.
Okay.
I think that most of you at this point
Let's hear the sound. If it's too
saw
low,
this in the news.
yeah, let me look for another one. Nolan Wells presser. There's got to be a better one. Hang on. Here, ABC News. Perfect. So what we want to discuss here is
and accountability. The family of Nolan Wells about to speak there in New York on the.
What we want to discuss here, we want to talk about how mom found his phone. Okay, I think that's very important in this
Unanswered questions surrounding the death of their 18-year-old son, Al Sharpton, at the mic right now.
Who have already, in my judgment, seemed to have mishandled where it was going. Because to just immediately, before a week time, saying there was nothing done wrong, when we hear that this young man was engaged in some kind of argument that was on tape, that his cell phone and keys ended up with one of the people that were there on the island and got away. He was one black with three young white men who happened to end up with his phone, happened to end up with his keys.
Yeah, that part of it is very strange.
Oftentimes, when our children are killed in Hollywood, white man ended up dead.
I think that's a bit strange. The keys in the phone being in possession of his friends while he was, quote unquote missing, is very strange, and it's super valid to question this, right? So here we go. I want to play it on from when she talks about finding his phone, okay?
Peace with one another. He loved life, and God gave him this. There have been many cases, So his father and I were having a moment, who actually was one of the people who helped us that night. She went and picked up his cell phone.
Here we go. Ready?
And we're
Okay.
gonna miss him dearly. But we are grateful, especially to our friend Tashima, who actually was one of the people.
Hi, Leah. How are you? It could be hazing. That's a good question, Leah. I don't think they were in a sorority per se, but honestly, we don't know. Honestly, we don't know much about it, but it could be hazing situation. Hi, everyone. I'm playing this for Pablo. Is Pablo still here? I think that's his name. No, Pedro. I'm playing this for Pedro because he had questions about this. Okay, so here we go. Let's continue.
Who helped us that night. She went and picked up his cell phone from where it was and then provided that to us, because we of course contacted authorities to figure out who to do the report with, whether it was the county or the city, which then turned into DMR, who I contacted immediately from there. And, but.
So how you got the cell phone?
So our friend actually.
Crump was like,
we
tell them how you got the cell phone. Ben Crump he's a hot mess. Okay, here we go. Here's the story.
When I called her, Nolan is best friends with her two sons, Jalen and Javon. When I called her, I said, Tashima, have you seen Nolan? He's missing. No one has seen him. No one has talked to him. The boys were actually with her sons. So they opened up their Snapchat because a lot of the kids do have their locations where they're tracking one another.
Right.
So one of the boys says, well, it's showing that I can't exactly remember what his location was showing, but my Life 360 location was showing something completely different. It was actually showing that his phone.
Does anyone have Life 360 in here? And how is it different from like find your location on Apple? How is that different? Does anyone have that? Scully, you're sneaking in here, Scully. I saw you. I see you. I'm interested if anyone has the Life 360 app. I just want to know. I'm interested because you hear what she's saying here. She said that her friend's kids showed him at another location on Snapchat, but then she opened Life 360 and Nolan was somewhere else. So that's super interesting to me. I don't know. Let's continue.
Was like he was on land. And so we ended up, she received the phone from that parent, and then we met up where his car was, which was at a separate location. There were issues obtaining the key, but even so, there was just a lot of.
Tell them about what happened with the key.
Dude, Ben and Al are, they just want to get all this out here. This is crazy.
I'm going to let my husband tell you about that because he actually went up to the door to get the key because at that point, I was just not in my right mind. This has just been an awful situation, just terrible.
Elmore.
I feel so bad. Could you believe that they were giving her trouble? They were giving the parents trouble to return the phone and keys, you guys.
Wansley, the father.
Okay, so the situation with the key. When we got to the house, a few of his friends, they were already there, and they were at the door in the house asking questions. So when I walked up, they were getting, things were getting kind of intense. So I turned to them and told them, I need you guys to calm down. I don't do this to me right now. I need them to kind of trust me so they can give me something. So I was able to calm them down. So the guy, he's in one of the pictures, but he came out of the room,
Like, I just want you guys to put this into perspective. Your son is missing. You have no idea where your son is. Okay? You're on your phone, you're like, oh shit, his location is here. These families are not even helping them. The families of the other friends, I'm saying, like, why aren't they coming together as a community? You guys understand what I'm saying? The friends' families, they all should have been coming together as a community, like a little community. Okay, he's missing. We're going to do everything we can to find him. Here's your keys. They shouldn't have even had to, like, they didn't even have to go and get the stuff these parents should have been at their freaking house with the keys, with the phone. What can I do to help? What can I do to help you find Nolan? It's just so weird, you guys.
sleep or whatever, where I think Jack's or whatever. And I said, look, I'm Nolan's father. I'm here to get his keys so I can get his car. I said, he's like, his car was in the yard. His car was parked in the yard. So he was like, I don't know, man. Nolan's like my brother. I said, well, if Nolan was like your brother, would you please go in your room and see if you can find my son's keys so I can take his car home?
A lot of people.
He walks off 2 or 3 minutes.
There's a lot of people that are picking up on that one sentence. He said, Nolan was my. Let me go back. Nolan was using was as the past tense.
Part in the yard. So he was like, I don't know, man. Nolan's like my brother. I said, well, if Nolan was like your brother, would you please go in your room and see if you can find my son's keys so I can take his car?
So their friends are saying, I don't know where the keys are. I don't know, man. Nolan's.
My brother, I said, well, if Nolan was like your brother, so I can get his car. I said, he's like,
His car was in the yard.
his car's parked in the
Even the captions are being racist. The captions are not including what he says was. The captions are not picking it up.
yard. So he was like, I don't know, man. Nolan's like my brother. I said, well, if Nolan was like your brother, would you please go in your room and see if you can find my son's keys so I can take his car home? He walks off, 2 or 3 minutes, come back. I can't find the keys. I said, okay. So at that point, I get the boys and I get to move them out the house because I didn't want them to go into the house and start tearing up these people's houses because they'd never be a hold in the situation. So walk outside by the car. One of the guys that was in the house with us, he was on the phone with a girl, and the girl told him that Nolan's keys were on top of this Jack's guy's Xbox in the house because apparently she was there with him earlier. So he goes back up to the door by himself,
Hold
and
on.
5 minutes later,
Hold
the
on.
keys come out. So now I feel
I
like
think he's going a bit too fast, and I am trying to understand this fully. So let me slow it down because he says that he speaks to a young lady. Let me go back to the regular speed. Dad says he speaks to a young lady that knows where the keys are. So let's go back.
the girl told him that Nolan's keys were on top of this Jack's guy's Xbox in the house because apparently I can't find the keys. I said, okay. So at that point, I get the boys and I get to move them out the house because I didn't want them to go into the house and start tearing up these people's houses because they'd never be a hold in the situation. So walk outside by the car. One of the guys that was in the house with us, he was on the phone with a girl, and the girl
Okay, one of the guys that was in the house with us. Okay, so I guess here, Mr. Wells here, he goes to pick up Nolan's keys with another group of kids, is what I'm saying. And then he's like, come on. He's bringing the kids out of the house. He's like, come on, we don't want to mess in this house. We don't. So that one of the kids that was with Mr. Nolan, I'm sorry, Mr. Wells, says that he was on the phone with a girl and the girl told him that the keys were on top of the Xbox. Okay.
girl told him that Nolan's keys were on top of this Jack's guy's Xbox in the house because apparently she was there with him earlier. So he goes back up to the door by himself, and 5 minutes later, the keys come out. So now I feel like you done lied to me. So now I'm really
Oh, wow.
like in distress with you. But as far as their night goes, if I knew anyone who had a boat, I would have went out that night looking for my son. We tried.
Okay, so they did not go back out that night. That night being so 4th of July. They did not go back out that night, 4th of July, because he didn't have a boat. Okay? That's what he's saying. Right?
But I don't have friends with boats. But if I knew someone with one, I would have went out that night. And this so happened that his coach.
That is so sad. That is so freaking sad. Could you imagine? Now he's got to carry this guilt for not having a boat. Oh my God. If he's saying it, that means he feels guilt for not going out that night. Oh my goodness. Ooh, he has to live with that. Oh, that is so sad. I'm sorry, you guys.
Saw all the stuff on Facebook that next morning and contacted me at like 5 in the morning, asked me, did we want to go out?
So now that's July 5th, right? That morning at 5 a.m. What is here? Like they keep showing, what is this? Who is this guy? And what is this? All right, so that means that July 5th is when he goes out there, 5 a.m. with the coach, because the coach has a boat. All right, so that's July 5th, okay?
And I told him, yeah. So within an hour, he was at the dock. We met him, and we went out. We docked the boat, got out the boat, walked on the island, walked a pretty nice stretch, came back, got back on the boat, went around the island, looked, came back around, and where we went to, that's where apparently they say that his body floated up. I don't know a lot about water currents over there, but I would think that we would have saw his body. And on the trip there was a family that stayed a night on the island. like actually tented out on the island. So if he was left, he would have saw that family on the island, and it was two of the boats docked. So he would have had help. So I don't know. I don't know. I think
Yeah, like what this man is saying, if he was like, if Nolan was drowning or something, or he could been screaming out for help or something, maybe these families would have heard him, you know? And also, I want to say that he keeps saying that he went back, where Nolan's body was discovered, he just told us they searched that same area. This was July 5th, okay?
we stayed there for like an hour and a half. That's when Jackson County and the sheriff department showed up, and they
Interesting. Why did the sheriff show up? Why weren't they weren't there? Huh? Wait a second. Why wasn't the sheriff department already there looking? Hang on. He just said the sheriff department showed up. Let's start all over.
like actually tented out on the island. So if he was left, he would have saw that family on the island, and it was two of the boats docked. So he would have had help. So I don't know. I don't know. I think we stayed there for like an hour and a half. That's when Jackson County and the sheriff department showed up, and they were gonna do their rounds.
Okay. So what I am gathering here, it seems like dad and coach searched the area before law enforcement, you guys. Are you listening to this shit? Oh no, oh no, that is so sad. Why is that? Wow, they searched after him. Listen again. July 5th, 5 in the morning, coach and dad, or dad and the rest of his family were searching for Nolan. He said they went all around the island, including where Nolan's body was found. Okay? Where Nolan's body was discovered. These guys had searched it at 5 in the morning, okay? And they did their rounds. Now listen to what dad is saying here.
And I had a classmate of mine, him and his if I knew anyone who had a boat, I would have went out that night looking for my son. We tried, but I don't have, and I told him yes. So within an hour, he was at the dock. We met him, and we went out. We docked the boat, got out the boat, walked on the island, walked a pretty nice stretch, came back, got back on the boat, went around the island, looked, came back around, and where we went to, that's where apparently they say that his body floated up.
They went to the area. They searched the area where they say that Nolan's body supposedly floated up. Okay. I want to say thank you. Thank you, Derek Jones, for joining. Of course. Of course. Any other? Okay, cool. Here is other chat. Okay, cool. Thank you for being here. All right, let's continue.
I don't know a lot about water currents over there, but I would think that we would have saw his body. And on the trip there was a family that stayed a night on the island, like actually tented out on the island. So if
Now, was that family interviewed? Was that family interviewed? Do we have names? You know, this is part of the investigation this is part of the investigation law enforcement has to do.
he was left, he would have saw that family on the island, and it was two of the boats docked. So he would have had help. So
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. What dad is trying to say is, oh, the mom isn't. What dad is trying to say is that even if he was left behind, he still would have had a way to get back home because there were two other families there. You understand? So he wouldn't have been stuck alone in the island, is what dad is trying to say here.
I don't know. I don't know. I think we stayed there for like an hour and a half. That's when Jackson County and the sheriff department showed up, and they were going to do their rounds. And I had a classmate of mine, him and his two boys, that came out and they searched, and then they got back in touch with me and said the Coast Guard had finally showed up in
Oh, the Coast Guard finally showed up after they did their search, okay?
airplane. So
All right, here we go with an ad, you guys. Give us a couple minutes. There we go.
that
What is so critical, what Elmore is saying is they went out on Sunday and the tide, if it brought his body up, he went missing on July 4th, as they say. His body should have been there on July 5th. Why would it not appear to July 6th? And that's one of those things that's just not adding up. And the fact that if he stayed behind on the island, there were boats there, there were people. Somebody had to see something.
Right.
That's why it's not adding up.
Right.
And that's
Yeah, that's strange that they searched the area July 5th. No Nolan. He wasn't discovered until the 6th. Why do you think that? Is it possible that he was like super, I don't know, that's strange. Maybe he was like way in deep. But then if you're way in deep into the island, then I have to play this Cajun Navy interview because he explains about the currents. I'll play that after this, okay?
what they're saying. It's just not adding up.
yes,
And if he was there 2 days, somebody on the island would be able to verify that. 2 days and nobody's come forward and say, no, he was with us, or no, we saw him. It just does not make sense. Make it make sense.
Just one last thing. We want her to talk about the cell phone deleted messages. I'm sorry. I thought my voice was loud enough. One last thing. We want to have Christine talk about the cell phone from her perspective before they tell you who Nolan was, and then we'll take your questions.
So when we made it home, my sister and I actually went through Nolan's cell phone, particularly Snapchat, because that is so popular with the children. And when we opened it up, there was nothing. There were no saved pictures. There were no snaps from that day. And we did open it before the 24-hour expiration.
When she says 24-hour expiration means that when you take a snap, usually it automatically vanishes within 24 hours. So this is strange to me because 4th of July, you're celebrating, you're hanging out with your homies and everything. You're a teenager, you're snapping pictures, you're sending videos out to people. So that is interesting that his Snapchats were deleted.
So we found that very concerning, only because anyone who's ever been around Nolan will tell you at social gatherings, he's taking videos, he's taking pictures, he's even come up to me when I'm getting ready to go to bed. Hey, Ma, come on, take a picture of me. You know, like that was Nolan. So that's why we feel that things may have been deleted was because of the fact that there was nothing in either one of his accounts. But I do want to say this. I would hope that any parent who, God forbid, would be in our situation, I would hope that you would do the same thing. I would hope that you would ask for any help, receive any help to get answers, because at the end of the day, that's all we want. We just want to know.
Of course.
We just want to know what happened and why our baby didn't come home.
Of course.
Like that's our biggest thing. And we are so grateful to everyone, family, friends, classmates, United Cajun Navy,
Yeah, that's
everybody that's assisted us. We appreciate you. There's not enough thank yous that we could say or give to you, but I just, we just want to know. We want an honest, thorough investigation. That's all we're asking for.
Let's lift this family up in prayer. Hopefully they get the answers they're seeking for. So far, I don't know. I don't know what these law enforcement officers are doing right now. It's what I want to do is I want to pull up the Cajun Navy guy. He was interviewed. And it's interesting when he talks about the current because he knows the area very well. So let's listen to this, okay?
What if I told you that the moment your book is published, there could be a
after this ad, okay, here we go.
Those two guys went out to Horn Island. They went on the island. They came. Those two guys went out to Horn Island. They went on the island. They canvassed around. They went and ran a grid with the boat, put the drone up, looking for any signs of Nolan. Did not find anything. By late afternoon, some weather was moving in offshore. So out of abundance of caution, they came back in, and that's when we decided that we were going to put a plane up the next morning on 6th July. There was a story that Nolan might have tried to walk to the middle of the island. There's like a lagoon with ponds. But they went over there and they showed me pictures saying, hey, look, there's a lot of thorny bush. There's cactuses. If he was over here barefoot, he would have abandoned this idea pretty quickly. So we don't think that there's any reason to really search around here. Sure. Yeah. I was told that the park ranger called in the discovery about 8:45 a.m.
That park ranger needs to be interviewed and interrogated too. When I heard that a park ranger, out of all of the things, you got the Cajun Navy Army out there, you got Nolan's family was there the following morning. Nothing came up. Then you had law enforcement and the sheriff showed up. According to the family, the sheriff and law enforcement showed up after they were there searching for the area, searching for Nolan in the area, right? You have all of these searches happening. The Cajun Navy, they even had planes. Listen to what he said. But isn't it something that it ends up being a park ranger that discovered his body? He needs to be investigated, interrogated, and everything. I don't care. Let's do a thorough investigation for this family.
Those two guys went out to Horn Island. They went on the island. They canvassed around. They went and ran a grid with the boat, put the drone up, looking for.
Listen, they have drones up. This Cajun Navy, they had drones up and everything.
Any signs of Nolan. Did not find anything by late
afternoon. They didn't find anything. Okay.
Afternoon, some weather was moving in offshore. So out of abundance of caution, they came back in, and that's when we decided that we were going to put a plane up the next morning on.
Okay, so on July 5th, they did this crazy search with drones and all. Then on the following day, on the 6th, they decided to do the planes.
6th July. There was a story that Nolan might have tried to walk to the middle of the island. There's like a lagoon with ponds. But they went over there and they showed me pictures saying, "Hey, look, there's a lot of thorny bush. There's cactuses. If he was over here barefoot, he would have abandoned this idea pretty quickly. So we don't think that there's any reason to really search around here." Sure. Yeah, I was told that the park ranger called in the discovery about 8:45 a.m. And I knew it was between 8:30 and 8:45 when we had flown back over north of the island. And
even after the planes, they couldn't find Nolan, but this park ranger found Nolan.
And noticed activity on the beach that was not there earlier. And so that was when, again, we saw a lot more boats coming to the island, and that there was a makeshift command post being set up on the beach. And as we descended lower and started circling, I could see that there was a body laying on the beach.
What in the world? What? Okay, wait a second. So you were up there in a plane circling the area and did not find Nolan's body. Drones and all. His body was laying on the beach. It was not in water, baby. It was not in water, you guys. It was laying on the beach. I don't understand this. I really don't.
See that there was a body laying on the beach.
So the discovery was him. How did Nolan's mother respond when the sheriff told her that?
I wasn't with her when it happened. I think my incident commander was there. He described it as when she pulled up at the boat launch and saw him, she ran over to him and just collapsed in his arms. And I think she was just despondent for a while. So he was just trying to comfort her. And
oh gosh, so the family was there. I just want to replay what he talks about flying. Hold on.
He described it as when she pulled up at the boat launch and saw him. When it happened, I think my incident commander was there.
Nolan's mother respond when the
and as we descended, flown back over north of the island and noticed activity on the beach that was not there earlier.
Okay, so
north of the island and noticed. Sure, yeah, I was told that the park ranger called in the discovery about 8:45 a.m.
So when the park ranger called, these guys were up in the air on the plane, okay? They were up in the air on the plane, okay? So
and I knew it was between 8:30 and 8:45 when we had flown.
And this is when they had flown back over the north, which means to me, this means they had already flown through that area and now they're heading back. So they missed Nolan's body laying in the beach. They totally missed his body. Why? What? What do you mean? What do you mean you missed his body on the beach? And then all of a sudden,
on back over north of the island and noticed activity on the beach that was not there earlier.
And when they flew back, they noticed the activity in the beach, which was not there earlier, he says. So that's when he thought, oh shit, they found something.
And so that was when, again, we saw a lot more boats coming to the island, and there was a makeshift command post being set up on the beach. And as we descended lower and started circling, I could see that there was a body laying on the beach.
As they were descending lower and started circling, I could see the body laying on the beach. But why couldn't you see it before?
So the discovery was him. How did Nolan's mother respond when the sheriff told her that?
I wasn't with her when it happened. I think my incident commander was there. He described it as when she pulled up at the boat launch and saw him, She ran over to him and just collapsed in his arms, and I think she was just despondent for a while. So he was just trying to comfort her, and he knew everything she had been through from the beginning because we were put in touch with her very early. I think the night of July 4th was the first contact.
It's not about being fascinated, Christian. It's not about being fascinated. It's about trying to seek justice and answers for the family. Why is that bad? I mean, true crime is such a large genre. It's huge. It's huge on YouTube. You can be anywhere. You can be anywhere. There's so many true crime stories all over YouTube, baby. If you don't like this story, you can go to another YouTube channel. Okay? Okay. Thank you.
What's going through your mind?
Just that, our worst fears were being realized. We wanted to find this boy. I wanted him to bring him back to his mother, alive and well. I knew that the further we got away from the last time he was seen alive, the lower.
I just can't get over the fact that this Cajun Navy, like, you guys, I can't get over the fact that these people that are professionals at what they do. Let me give you a quick Cajun Navy. Let me give you a quick summary of what these people actually do. The Cajun Navy is a volunteer-led disaster response organization best known for using civilian boats, aircrafts, and volunteers to conduct search and rescue operations during hurricanes, floods, and other emergencies. Okay? So how do they operate? The Cajun Navy model is different from traditional government agencies because it relies heavily on volunteer boat owners, pilots, drone operators, search teams, dispatchers, donations, and community coordinations. Now, this organization, I'm just, I guess, shocked that this organization, they completed 2 days of search and rescue. That would have been the 5th. He said they did that all evening until late afternoon. They were searching for Nolan on the 5th all day until late afternoon, according to this testimony, this interview. Then they decide to do the planes on the following day. And I'm just like, wow. And a park ranger ends up finding his body. That needs to be investigated with a fine comb.
Chances that would be. But in these kind of situations, you try to stay positive. You have no choice but to stay positive, or you'll go crazy. But whenever we make a recovery and it's a positively identified recovery, that's when it becomes real. And I'm a parent. I can't even imagine being in that situation. First, the horrible hours of knowing your child's missing, not knowing where he or she's at. Then you hear that they find a body, and then somebody from a position of authority tells you that the bad news that they do believe it's your child. I never want to be. I've seen enough of that happen. Look, we have our own in-house chaplain, not just to comfort the families, but to keep our heads straight, because this isn't easy to do. And so we just sort of, when those situations come up, that's when it becomes real. It's when the emotions kick in, and you stop being a search and rescue person and flip back on into being a human being.
Okay, thank you, sir, for your service. And this, I don't know, this park ranger found him. Let's go to the next interview.
Imagine being able to build an app with your name on it just by.
So the beard guy is interesting. I want to hear what he has to say. 1 second. So it's I've seen his face all over. So here, this guy, I want to hear what he has to say. Let's look for a good interview here. because what I'm looking for, it's possible he said, because there's something about the current that I want him to discuss here. It might be this one. Okay, let's play it.
The mom requested the help of the United Cajun Navy, a nonprofit organization that provides for disaster relief. I'm Israel Salas Rodriguez, senior news reporter at the U.S. Sun. Thanks again for joining us. Make sure to click that like and subscribe button to stay tuned for more reports like this one. Joining us now is Josh Gill, the Cajun Navy's incident coordinator for the search and rescue for Nolan. Josh, thank you so much for joining us. Can you just introduce yourself to our audience?
Josh Gill. I'm from Louisiana. I'm the incident commander for the United Cajun Navy.
And how long have you been with the organization?
Been with the organization on and off since its inception. Really been instrumental in the role for a couple years now.
And shifting over to the Nolan Wells case, can you describe the water conditions surrounding Horn Island for those of us who are not familiar with the area?
Yeah.
Sure. So Horn Island's off the coast of Mississippi. Believe about 10 miles off the coast. It's a 144 square mile island. It's pretty big. It's a location that's in the Gulf of Mexico / Gulf of America, whichever nomenclature you want to use. It's a destination area for boaters, right? Fishermen, boaters, recreational boaters as well. July 4th weekend, the water wasn't extremely rough. It was a normal day. I'd say, light swells, maybe up to 1 foot. There is a pretty heavy tidal surge and tidal movement on that portion of the island where they were at. It's a pass between two islands. So there's increased tidal influence right there, along with wind and wave action.
Okay. And is the area popular during the holiday, during 4th of July weekend?
Extremely popular. All summer long, it's popular. Like I said, there'll be anywhere from a few hundred boats to maybe over 1,000.
And can the water conditions change at all when the sun begins to set around the area?
Sure. Conditions can change rapidly there. It's not exceptionally deep, which calls for the ability for conditions to change quickly.
Can you walk us through the timeline from the moment that Nolan was reported missing?
Sure. So to the best of my knowledge, again, I didn't get a call till that next day. As I appreciate, late that evening, Nolan was on the beach. The vessel that he came with left. And from there, we don't know what happened, right? Again, I'm just a volunteer, I'm running volunteer operations. I'm not law enforcement. So what happened really isn't what I'm looking for. What I look for a search is that last known location, and then specifics about the area or specifics about the person. Knowing that northwest corner of Horn Island was what we call the LKL, last known location. From there, we looked at the weather conditions, tidal conditions, wind conditions to come up with a plan, come up with a grid on what we could do. As within 30 to 45 minutes of when I got notification of him missing from the family and then from the mother, we had surface vessels, that's boats, that were in the area starting to search. We also had 2 drones that were in the air, as well as boots on the ground on the island doing a manual walk to look for Nolan there.
Are you guys understanding this? That out of the blue, this park ranger found his body. Meanwhile, look at all that's being done. I don't get it. I just don't. I simply don't.
That next day, yesterday, we had at daylight 4 vessels, 2 more people, as well as a fixed wing aircraft in the air that started.
Hey, be nice. Be nice. Thanks to all the new chatters. What's good? Hit that like button. Subscribe if you like this content. Never mind. He's talking about the tide. So that would be in saltwater. Thank you all for being here today. Thank you. He was on an island out in the sea or freshwater. No, not on sea. Not out in the sea. No. I can show you. Actually, I have a video. I can show you after this. Okay.
6:15-ish, 6:30.
And when Nolan's mom did reach out to you, what was her tone like? Did she give you any information that could help in the search?
Oh, absolutely. So, and again, you can understand the frantic. She was frantic. She wanted to know everything that was going on, and what we could do to provide resources, what we could do to help her find her son. I mean, that's issue number one: find Nolan. But again, she was, with everything that was going on, Miss Christine was extremely calm when she was providing that information, and I asked some very tough questions. And I just wanted to make sure that she understood all the questions that I ask are related to helping me find the location to search.
God bless these guys.
Every vote counts.
God bless these guys. They're volunteers, you guys. Wow.
And when you and your team were on the ground, were you approached by any of maybe Nolan's friends that stayed
That's a good question.
in the area and they
Good
provided any
question. Homie coming with the questions.
information to you guys?
It is an active and open investigation, so I'd rather not discuss the pieces and parts of who we had conversations with. I will say this is that I don't believe any of the friends stayed.
And what did you know about Nolan's disappearance when you first got that call? Did you know of anything beforehand?
Just basic information, stuff that I gathered off of social media, as well as information from the mother. And nothing that was super relevant to finding Nolan or to searching for Nolan. Just information that he got left on the island, left or he wasn't there, possibly, hopefully, and as we prayed that he may have made it onto another boat. So what we do is we gather information, right? We gather as much information as possible. We then blast it out to social media. We've got a huge following, and this one went extremely viral, to ask for help. The more people that see something, they could possibly say something. So we actually, at the time of him being found, we had people in the air, we had boats on the water, we had boots on the ground, on land, on the mainland as well, looking in 3 different locations where people had said he may have been seen that day, that evening before, or that evening he came up missing. So we take into account everything, every tip, every, hey, go look here. We do that. We do it because we want to make sure we're providing all the resources that we possibly can, checking everything out, and letting the family know that, hey, every life matters to us. It doesn't matter race, creed, color, religion, nationality. I don't care.
I love that. I love that he says that. I mean, really, every race matters. Every race matters. Everyone matters, guys. Can we all just get along?
We want to make sure that every family understands we're putting every bit of effort into it.
Did the search effort shift in any way after the 24-hour period when Nolan was still not found?
No, we remained steady with our search and our operations. We coordinated with the local Jackson County Sheriff's Office. We let them know what our grid pattern was. We sent them our grid in our search areas, and we coordinated with them.
Wow, that's interesting to know. They coordinated with the law enforcement. Okay, cool.
Again, we notified them and let them know that we would be in the area, in the air, as well as on the ground in multiple locations.
It just so happened that while they were on the air, then Nolan's body was found, right? How convenient, right? I mean, I'm just saying, I'm just speculating here as to how he was found. That's all.
Were the members of the Cajun Navy on the island when the body believed to be Noah was found? And are you able to disclose any details on where the whereabouts of the body?
So I would rather not disclose any of the details. It is an open investigation.
But the other guy said he was on the beach. Remember, the other guy said he was on the beach. On the beach to me, it's sand, right? On the beach is sand, not in water, right? But this guy doesn't want to disclose. Okay, we get it.
We were not on the island. We were in the air.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. It just so happens that while they were on the air is when Nolan's body was found.
And from your understanding, was the body, again, believed to be Noah, was it found in the same area as where the 18-year-old was last seen?
As I appreciate it, was within close proximity to that northwest corner of.
And that northwest corner was searched by Dad, Coach, these guys. It's just so weird. I'm sorry. You know.
Again, I don't want to get into specifics. Again, it's an open investigation.
And how has social media helped the Cajun Navy in their search and rescue missions or operations?
United Cajun Navy, whenever we get notified of a person missing, typically it's through social media. People understand who we are, they recognize us, and they'll reach out to us through Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, whatever it is. We turn around, we utilize those platforms to help get the word out on whoever it is that's missing, right? So I'll start with a quick narrative of who it is, last known location, what they were wearing, if they're going through a mental health crisis, if they may have been
Now that's a good question here. I want to discuss this also. Is that John Bonson? John Bonilla. What if there's no water? What if they discover that there's no water in his lungs? What do you have to say about that? What do you think? If the autopsy reveals that there was no water in his lungs.
Fight with their girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever it is, whatever pertinent information is there that can help us spread the word. Tattoos, height, weight, clothing. From there, I build this narrative, and then I make a poster, a missing persons poster, that's got all that information on it with as many pictures as possible. And then I do a video. The video will explain, and every one of them's heartfelt. Hey, we're looking for Israel. He came up missing. It's super important that we find him. His family is absolutely upset and distraught. Might be going through a mental health crisis. Whatever it is, I list it out there, and I do it with a lot of emotion, and it's true emotion, sincere. We put that out on multiple platforms, and then the tips start coming in. Here you go. Look, I'm not law enforcement. I'm a volunteer. It's a volunteer organization. We just want to bring these people home. So social media is a huge piece. Again, I don't care how it happens. I don't care how we find these people, as long as they're found and reunited with their family, one way or the other, right? We hope to find them all alive.
Right.
Unfortunately, that always doesn't happen that way. So social media is a huge tool. And then it's good old just boots on the ground, canvassing the area, canvassing that last known location, talking to people, and really building relationships with them. No matter.
Okay, so let's play the video. There's footage of Nolan on this island, and I just want to play that really quick. I will make sure to link all of these so you can go and watch yourselves. So let's see, maybe Law and Crime has it. This was 3 days ago. Oh, I wanted to get into this. You know what? I'll keep that for another video. Yeah, I was going to read her statement, but let's not do that. Yeah, I'm good on that. Let's show the boat. Just so you guys have an idea of this was 2 days ago. Oh, here. Let's do this one.
We're developing a timeline of events after 18-year-old Nolan Wells disappeared off the coast of Mississippi. Authorities say Wells traveled to Horn Island with a group of friends.
This is it right here, okay?
To celebrate the 4th of July. Jackson County Sheriff John Ledbetter says that Wells decided to stay on the island even though his friends left on a boat. He was last seen at 3 p.m. The Coast Guard says it got a call to help with a search at 12:26 Sunday afternoon. It was an effort that involved multiple agencies lasting until the next morning. Around 8:45 a.m. is when the sheriff says a body.
You know, like when times match, when the times are too matchy, I don't like that. I don't like that. When the times are too matchy, I don't know. Could be a narrative. So they're sticking to the 8:45 a.m., you guys, okay?
Body was found near the island. Wells' family confirmed it was Wells a few hours later. The coroner still needs to officially identify the body, and Sheriff Ledbetter says he has a request for the public.
Number one, give the family space and time. They are still processing this tragic event, and all of Nolan's close friends. I'll assure you that the Jackson County Sheriff's Office, we're looking at this whole case just like we would any other case, and we're going to be as thorough as we can.
Wells played football at Ocean Springs High and Southwest Mississippi Community College. Anyone with information about his disappearance is asked to call the Jackson County Sheriff's Office.
Okay, well, thank you. Alrighty then.
If you have tried multiple oral antidepressants and they haven't worked.
Where was the other one I saw up here somewhere? Hold on. What is this? Okay, here we go. I don't know. I don't know what we're getting into right now, but we're getting...
You want to know what I just found out? Okay.
Gertie Mack.
So everything on Facebook is not always true, but I'm starting to believe that this little comment right here is. So, you know, the said 3 boys that went on the water with poor little Nolan. Turns out the comment states that one of their mommies is a chancery judge. Oh, ain't that freaking lovely?
Word here just at about 8:45 that there was a body found on Horn Island.
Okay, so everyone is sticking to that 8:45. Where's this dude from? WLOXK. Okay, let's go there. Wow, everyone's sticking to that time. Holy crap. Okay, let's go to... I remember that reporter. He was absolutely boots on the ground, okay? Here we go. Here's a good one. It kind of shows the water.
We're learning new details tonight on what happened in the hours leading up to the death of Nolan Wells, which has sparked national headlines.
We know now that a call was made to the Coast Guard around 11 p.m. on July 4th by a friend of Nolan's. Wells had gone out to...
Wow, that's beautiful. That's pretty. Now, why would the friends call the Coast Guard at 11 p.m.? If, according to the friends, he left with that young lady, Katie.
Horn Island with a group, but didn't return with them. He was found dead just...
Okay, so, I mean, it's pretty.
Off the island Monday morning. We're working to learn more on the details of the...
There we go. It looks like it's not the ocean. Just put it that way. It's not the freaking Atlantic Ocean. You know what I mean? Excuse me. So drowning, huh? How could he have drowned? You get where I'm going with this? How could he have drowned if he's a good swimmer? There's no waves or anything. I don't know.
The call that was made Saturday night. However, we know the Jackson County Sheriff's Office did not request Coast Guard assistance until around 12 p.m. the next day.
The Mississippi NAA.
What? And this is all we get?
Hey.
Wait, what? That's all we get? Oh my God.
Dead just off the island Monday morning. We're working to learn more on the details of the call that was made Saturday night. However, we know the Jackson County Sheriff's Office did not request Coast Guard assistance until around 12 p.m. the night.
The sheriff didn't request for the Coast Guard assistant until the following day. This is crazy.
Next day.
The Mississippi NAA.
That's it. That's all we got. Oh, man. All right. Now let me go to TikTok. I have some things saved on TikTok, you guys. Hang on. I'm trying to like refrain from the speculation because there's a lot to speculate on, but I think the best thing to do is wait on the autopsy reports before we even speculate any further. That is great. That is great that the family is conducting their very own. That's great that the family is conducting their very own. And now this doesn't want to work. They're conducting their own independent autopsy. Okay, so that was smart. So let's play some things here that I wanted to show you guys. Okay, so let's start with what's this here? Okay, that's not what I wanted to show. Here we go.
That was taken on that day, specifically the one with all three of them. Whenever I had made the post asking for information, there was a young girl who reached out to me and she said, "Hey, Miss Christine, I know that in the report it's stating that he had black shorts on, but she was like, he actually had blue shorts. And those are two very different colors. Like you can't get those two confused." And so what she did is she's like, "I'm going to send you these pictures to show you so, I could use to show."
Oh, I see. So the photo that keeps circulating that's gone viral with Nolan and his other friends on the boat is because a friend provided the photo to the mom and said, no, he wasn't wearing black. He had blue shorts on. Okay.
Everybody like this is.
Let's see what we have here. Now, there's photos circulating of him inside of a pool. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know. I don't want to share that. We don't have any more. We don't know about that. We don't know if that's factual. Here. Okay, here's a good video. Listen to this. Watch. Listen to this, you guys.
Baby, when I tell you these folks are moving and trying to shake, but we are on their asses, and we are not letting up because these are the alleged people who were with Nolan. Eli Jax, Patalo.
Oh, no, that's not the one I wanted to show you. This one. Here we go. This is like footage. This is footage on that day. Okay, so now look at this. Does this look like something like he would drown? Why? You know what I mean? Look. Now, one thing I noticed is that there's adults in this. You can see adults. So people are claiming there's an altercation happening here, and Nolan says, "Give me my fucking phone." I don't know. I don't hear it, but at least you can get a visual of what it looks like, right? So again, if Nolan was drowning, there's so many boats, there's so many people out here. If Nolan was drowning, I think he would be heard, right? So I don't know. I don't know about this investigation. This is crazy. Let's see what else they have. This is when mom was at Good Morning America, interviewed. Here we go.
More on the mysterious death of Nolan Wells. We're joined by his parents, Christine and Elmore Wansley, as well as their attorney, Ben Crump. And before we get started, first off, I want to thank you for being here under these circumstances. You know how extremely tough it must be. And we can express how sorry we are for you and your family. And first question, how are you two holding up?
Taking it second by second.
Day by day.
She left because she's nervous.
Like,
I don't know why he.
when I received the phone call from Warren, I immediately called my friend Tashima and I said, hey, have you guys seen Nolan? Because
Okay, so she receives a phone call from one of the friends. Let's see if she gives us the.
So when I received the phone call,
something that's important, Michael, because they track this phone on Life 360.
So Life 360, but when I received the phone call from Warren, I immediately called my friend Tashima and I said, hey, have you guys seen Nolan? Because her two sons, Jalen and Javon, like they grew up together. They played city league sports together. When they got into school, they played sports together. And so she was like, hey, like, okay, the boys were pulling up the location from Snapchat. So the Snapchat location looks completely different than the Life 360 location. So when I pulled up Life 360, it was different. It was showing everywhere the phone had been. Like I was like, well, it's showing that he's back on land. Like he's like, but no, he didn't come back with us.
Well, how were you able to get the phone?
So we tracked it and my friend Tashima went and picked it up.
It wasn't like they said, we got his phone, they tracked it. And that highlights all these contradictions, Michael. The fact that they said Nolan was talking to a young woman and she said that he said, I'm going back to get on the boat with the boys. The boys said that he said he was going to stay with her. And so that's an obvious contradiction. And then this video of this, you can hear an argument going where Nolan is saying, give me my freaking phone. What are you freaking doing? And so then his phone ends up missing. I don't know any teenagers, Michael Strahan, who says, if you believe that story.
Listen, Kane, excuse me. This is not a propaganda channel, okay?
I'm going to stay behind and I'm going to leave my phone. I mean, no young person leaves their cell phone. And so then there's so many things their parents were telling us about, even why didn't his body wash up with the tide on Sunday? Why would it come on Monday? It's not adding up. And that is the problem when you think about the history of Mississippi.
Yeah, so there are so many questions that need to be answered. And is there anything you'd like people to know about Nolan? What would you like them to know about your son?
No,
it's okay.
Nolan.
She's so expressive. What's up, honeys? What's up, honey bunnies?
Take your time. Nolan was very loving. He was liked by all. It was not a friend he couldn't make.
No, we'll be right back with more for the parents of Nolan Wells and attorney.
Celebrating that child.
Okay.
Even his baby.
Let's continue. Let me see if I have any good stuff here. You know what? Let me go back to YouTube, to the tube. because I do have a playlist. Yeah, so again, this case, I mean, oh man, it's going to be one of those cases that's going to stick with you, right? Breaking 35 minutes ago. Huh? Let's see. I mean, what possibly could have happened? Let's see. Nolan Wells' friends caught lying after new admission, timeline exposed. I don't know. This actually, be very careful. Be very careful, right?
The case of Nolan Wells.
Because again, these are not facts. These are people are just, expressing or speculating. So let's hear.
Continues to be filled with unanswered questions, but as more information comes out, it appears the truth is coming to light. This time we are seeing conflicting stories and timelines from the accused. On Sunday, another friend of Wells, Trayson Shepard, would for the first time speak about the day in which he would reveal that he was actually the person in the viral video at Horn Island heard yelling. In a new interview with Rolling Stone, Shepard would go on to admit that he wanted to fight someone after they would comment on he and his girlfriend arguing. I told him he needed to mind his own business. From the Rolling Stone article, it reads, Shepard says the exchange became heated.
Hold on, let me pull up the Rolling Stone article. Hold on. Wow, these guys are Rolling Stone article, Nolan Wells. We're going to go there. Hold on. Found it. Okay, let's read the article. 1 second. Yeah, unless this Johnny guy has his way. I tagged her in the thumbnail. Okay, let me share. Okay, here it is. Here's the article. Let's read what his friend has to say. Oh boy. Here we go. What really happened in the last known video of Nolan Wells? It's me yelling. One of Wells's close friends tells Rolling Stone he's the person who can be heard shouting in the viral video. Oh, whoa, 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 whoa. Oh, I guess. Okay. So remember, you guys, there's a video going viral and people are saying that that's Nolan screaming out, "Give me my phone back." So this guy is now admitting that's me, that's my voice, okay? A moment that started out as a disagreement between Shepard and his girlfriend has been the center of a swirl of questions about the tragic death of 18-year-old Mississippi football player Nolan Wells. Okay. The video posted to social media of a group of young people seemingly in a heated altercation has been believed to be the last time Wells was pictured or heard on the video before his disappearance and death, which has made national news. But Shepard here, a close friend of Wells, says what really happened in the video isn't how it's being portrayed, okay? At around 3:30 p.m. on July 4th, Shepard, oh, I hate these ads, makes the article jump around. At around 3:30 p.m. on July 4th, Shepard says he was with a large group of friends from high school, including Wells, to celebrate the holiday. Shepard says Shepard and his family took a boat over to Horn Islands, a barrier island off the coast of Mississippi, where he planned to meet up with Wells and some other friends from high school. The friends often took the 45-minute ride over to Horn Island on the weekends to hang out. Shepard says he was waist deep in the water surrounding Horn Island, having a disagreement with his girlfriend that afternoon when a young man his age walked by and criticized your conversation. The man, the stupid ads. The man was an acquaintance from a nearby town who had not come over on the boat with them, with Shepard's or Wells. Matt's inside. Then it says, I told these fucking ads. Oh my God. I told him he needed to mind his own business. Shepard, 20 years old, told us Saturday, a week after the disagreement. Shepard says the exchange became heated and that he and the other man ended up getting into a physical altercation. Okay, you guys, so it's not Nolan, according to his friends here, it's him getting into the altercation. Shepard's uncle, who had raised him like a father, told Shepard to get out of the water and onto his boat so they could head back home. Huh. So my thing is, like, you're out there on a boat for the 4th of July. Why? Wait, why would you leave so early? I don't understand that. It seems like a lot of people left around this time. Shepard's uncle, who had raised him like a father, told Shepard to get out of the water and onto his boat so he could head back home. So all of a sudden, everyone's heading back home, right? This was around, so he heads back home at 3:30. Okay. So Shepard and family head home at 3:30. Okay. And that's interesting because that YouTube video I just played, you guys, that's part of their timeline. The 3:30 p.m., it's part of that narrative. So far I have a 3:30 p.m. and an 8:45 that seems to be, you know what I mean? They're making sure to imprint to you, like drill it to you. They're drilling it to us. 3:30, 8:45, 3:30, 8:45. That's part of the narrative, in my opinion, honestly, allegedly. So, let's continue. Then he says, Shepard complied, but once he got on the boat, he changed his mind and decided he wanted to go back. Shepard's friends had by that point began defending him back on the shore. Around this time, another adult on a nearby boat started filming the video, later posting it on social media after news. Okay. But there was an altercation. There clearly was an altercation, no matter what. In that video, you hear someone yelling, "That's me," he says. "It's me yelling. My exact wording is, get me off this fucking boat." Huh? I wanted to fight and I felt like I hadn't had my fair Well, first of all, homie, I don't know. Oh no. So this only further proves the behavior, the environment. Does he know what he's saying right now? Shepard is inserting himself into this open investigation and giving us an account of the environment going on here, no matter what. Perhaps he's defending himself or whatever, but get me off this fucking boat. But the uncle had said, Shepard's uncle told Shepard to get out of the water and onto his boat. So you're screaming at your family on the boat, on your uncle's boat, and you're telling your uncle, get me off this fucking boat? What in the world? I don't know. Oh, Crump posted this too. Okay. in that video, you hear somebody yelling, "That's me," he says. He says, "Get me off this fucking boat." Okay, let's play it. I don't know. I feel like I'm watching the 1112 camera right now. Attorney Crump posted it. Anyway, Shepard's girlfriend says she had gone over to the beach when the altercation moved there, and Shepard's uncle says a group of other group of older adults stepped in. Oh my god, this keeps jumping because all the ads are trying to open up, so the article just keeps jumping all over the place. Oh my god, it's so stupid. Okay, so Shepard's girlfriend says she had gone over to the beach, and Shepard's uncle says a group of older adults stepped in and broke up the fight between the younger adults on shore. Where was I? I lost my place now. I don't know. This is frustrating. I'm tired of speculation of not being able to talk. It's time for someone to start speaking up, Shepard says. It's not just hurting because of Nolan. I'm not just hurting because of Nolan. I'm just hurting because I call my friends and you can hear it in their voice and they're terrified of what these people will do to them. It's gone completely way too far. I mean, but they lawyered up. They lawyered up. I mean, if why not just, I don't know. Of course people are going to speculate because you lawyered up and you went back home, you were able to go back home to your family while Nolan was missing. The story is not making sense to me, you guys. The Jackson County Sheriff Office is investigating Wells' death, and his family's attorney Crump has called for an independent autopsy. We know that already. Oh, thank God, because I hate articles like that with all those ads. Oh no. Hi, Bubs. How are you, Bubs? Hi, Bubbly. No worries. Thank you for checking in, Bubs. I'm ignoring you? My bad. What's up, Scully? Bubbly wants to know if you guys are going live. Boo Skulls. Oh my God. Thank you all for being here today. I appreciate it. I had like at least 50, 70 people here. I hope I'll probably just have 10 likes, honestly. Gosh, I'm so self-deprecating. All right, you guys, enjoy the rest of your Monday. I'll come back with updates if I hear anything crazy. Okay. Thank you all for being here and hit that like on your way out. Thank you so much. Bye, Scully.